Hello, beautiful. Welcome to another Thursday Talk. Have you ever struggled with letting go of things in your home, all of that extra clutter, and making those decisions on your things? Well, if that struggle is something that you can relate to, then this series is for you. Over the next 5 Thursdays, we are talking about decision making questions and how to make the logical and appropriate decisions on our stuff. So, this is about asking the right questions to figure out if it's something that you should let go of or if it truly is something that you should keep. Now, it's not about letting go of absolutely everything. That's not what our goal is. Our goal is to let go of the excess, of the things that we don't really need, that aren't adding enough value to our lives, so we can really appreciate, find, and enjoy the things that truly mean the world to us, whether they're useful or we just love them. So, this is part one of a five-part series, the decision making series. Each Thursday for the next 5 weeks, I will go over some decision making questions that you can use to make decisions on your stuff. So, the theme of the question today is the value of your items. So, if you attach either a monetary value or a responsibility value to your items, then today these questions should help you out. First off, let's say hi to some people. I see, hey, Linda, good to see you. And Lynn, I hope that you get to hear what we say. And if not, then enjoy the replay too. Hey, Kathy, good to see ya. And Karen, hi, Sue, from cold Northeast Texas and a very cold Chicago. Diane's joining us from. Southeast Pennsylvania's Linda, welcome. Hey, Sheila, she says, this is the information I need. Oh my goodness, I love these types of discussions because knowing the right questions to ask yourself makes a world of difference. So as you hop on, I love that you're saying hello, hello. I love each of you. Wonderful. All right, so like I mentioned, today we are talking about the decision making questions that have to do with the value of our items, right? So let's dive right into question number one. So, when you're going through your things, whether you're sitting down to actually do a full organizing session, or while you happen to be doing your daily walk around the house, when you're reaching into cabinets and things like that, as you see items, start to ask yourself these questions and you can make decisions even when you're not doing an organizing session. So if you open the cabinet to grab, some headache medicine and you happen to notice something in there that you may or may not still want, ask some of these questions to yourself. And if you don't want an item, start pulling things out as you see them. Create a donation bin in your home, and when it gets full, you can just drop it off. But if you are constantly adding to that bin instead of waiting until you can do an organizing session or thinking that you need to get rid of something, but you leave it right where it's at because you aren't going to drop it off right away, then that's not going to help you out. So have a donation bin in your house that you can add to all the time, and it's going to make a big difference. Also, if you don't already have the Thursday Talk notes sheet and you want to be able to take notes, then we've got the free guide. The link is in the description, but it's the Thursday Talks worksheet. And this is just a great little worksheet that you can use each Thursday to help take notes and create an action plan based on what you learn. Question number one. So, this is question number one to ask yourself as you're looking at an item. What is it worth to me today? So there are so many times when we look at our things and we think how much we paid for them originally, right? Or how much they would cost to replace, or how expensive we feel like they are. We're afraid of that waste of money, and we think about how much money we spent or how much it would be worth if it was new. But the thing is, once you've bought the item, that money's gone. You've already spent it. It does not matter how much it cost anymore because you're not getting that money back by keeping the item. The item, now, the only value that item has to you is how useful it is to you. Is it something that you still need? And if it's not useful enough, if you don't truly love it enough, or it's not truly adding enough value to your life, then it's not worth it. Whether you paid nothing for it or $2,000 for it has zero effect on the value of the item once it's in your home. It might have an effect on how you let go of the item, whether you sell the item or if you donate it, but it does not affect the value of keeping the item. So remember, when you're looking at things, how much is it worth to me today? So another question that you would follow that up with is, would I buy it again? So if you did not have that item, would you look online, go to the store, spend the money for it? Would it be something that you would seek out and actually pay the money to purchase again? If not, then it's probably not that much of value to you anymore. So those two questions work very well together. First question, what's it worth to me today? What is the true value to me today? Is it adding a lot of value to your life as far as making your life a lot easier or providing a necessary service? Or is it something that you love, love, love and would miss if it was not there? And then would you buy it again? If you did not have that item right now, would you take the time to go to the store to get it or to look online for it? Would you spend the money to replace it if it had gotten stolen? Would you buy it again? If not, then it's probably a sign that that item is not truly of value to you enough to be taking up that space. So those are two questions to start with when looking at items. So we want to really focus on separating out the cost of the item from the value of the item to us. Those are two very separate calculations, let's call it. So really quickly, if that makes sense to you, if you agree, click the heart or the like button or tell me in the comments. I love to hear what you think of these things. And I wanted to say hi to some of the people who've hopped on, like Jody and or the Judy and Jane. I'm just combining your names now. Hey, Kathy, good to see everybody as you hop on. I see that we've got a huge, huge crowd, and I absolutely love it. Wonderful. All right, so we talked about the first two questions. We're going to separate uh, the value to us in our lives of the item from the amount that we paid for the item. They do not have any relationship with each other. So we're going to ask, what is this value worth? What is this item worth to me today? And would I buy it again if I did not already have it? Now, the next question to ask when you're looking at your items is it making your life better? So this ties into the value of the item to you today. Doesn't matter how much you paid for it, but is it making your life better? Is it adding true value to your life? So this would be something, is it extremely useful? Do you really love and enjoy it? And are you using it? If you're keeping it in a closet, then it's not adding a lot of value. It's not making your life better. But if you're looking at it all the time, if you would notice and miss it if it was gone, if it's a truly useful item, there are several things that would make your life better. So here are some examples. I'm going to use these three questions together. So one example, in my home, we have an egg slicer, which that's one of those items in a lot of people's homes that I would question. I'd say, do you need an egg slicer? How many times do you really need to slice eggs? For us, though, the egg slicer is actually used because our dog is on a special type of food and we have to chop it up into super tiny bits. And this egg slicer is extremely useful for chopping up his food. I looked long and hard to find something that would work very easily to chop up his food because it's this goopy, sticky, thick mess stuff. It's awful. And he can't chew it very well. So, what is it worth to me today? I paid maybe $10 for it. So, it was not very expensive. But the value of that egg slicer to me today, it's not even something I could put a dollar sign on. But for me, the value, if I were to value it in my life, I'd probably value it at like $100. That's the value of it to me today. Would I buy it again? Oops. Sorry, I tried to click on it and it did not work. Would I buy it again? Absolutely. I would buy 10 of them if I had to. I would replace it over and over. if we did not have it, because it saves that much time and it makes my life that much easier. Is it making my life better? Yes, obviously. It's not something that I love to look at. It's not something that is beautiful. It's something that is highly useful. So here's another example. My juicer. My juicer is one of these things that I've recently looked at and I had to use these questions on because when I was in my 20s, I spent hundreds of dollars, which in my 20s was a lot of money, hundreds of dollars on a really fancy Jack LaLanne power juicer because I used to juice carrots and apples almost every day. So at the time, it was worth so much to me. But now it's been sitting in our laundry room on a shelf for months, if not longer. And I'm not actually using it. So, what is it worth to me today? Not much. It's something that is not adding a lot of value to my life anymore. So, it's not worth $200. It's probably not even worth $20 to me today. Would I buy it again? No. No, at this point in my life, if I did not have it, I would not buy it again. And I would not buy any juicer again. And then, is it making my life better? It is not making my life better right now. It's actually making my life a little bit worse because it's just in the way. So, these are 3 signs that that juicer, it's probably time for it to go. It used to be worth a whole lot to me because I used it every day. It used to be something I would buy again, and it used to make my life so much better, but not any longer. So those are 2 examples of things in my own life that I've used those questions on. So we have 2 more questions to go, but if you're enjoying this, make sure share this video. Whenever you share these videos, then not only do I get a chance to share all of this information with other people, which I absolutely love, but it also helps me out a lot. So I see so many other people are saying that they agree, like Lee and Maggie say that they give a heart. Kathy says, 2 excellent questions. Maggie loves the cost versus value. Awesome. That is so great. Yep. Somebody from Virginia says, great way to start. Awesome. No problem, Peggy. She says she's late from a computer glitch. I'm glad that you made it. Not a problem. Somebody's screen is frozen. Darlene says, Darlene here. I need this right now. I'm stressed. Well, hopefully this de-stresses you some. And remember, none of this is a project. This is just small steps. This is as you go through your daily life and you look at items in your home, start asking these questions about those items, whether you open a drawer or look on a shelf, just start using these questions. Catherine says, I just took out my egg slicer and realized I could slice my banana perfectly with it. Soft cheese too. Increase the value for me. Yay. Yeah, that's the great thing. An egg slicer can actually slice a lot more than eggs. As long as it's soft, they're pretty handy for that. So if you're going to use it all the time, then that is fantastic. I love it. All right, so let's look at the final few questions. All right. Oh, and also really quickly, I believe this is also in the video notes. I forgot to share this with you. If you want to get text message reminders whenever I go live, then text the phrase events, the number one, with the number 1. Events with the number 1, no space, just events with the number 1. Text that to the text message number 407-214-4420, and you will get reminders on all the different events coming up, whether it's live sessions that are going to start, challenges, anything happening. So just wanted to share that with you. All right, question number 4. Is it worth the space it takes up? Is this item worth the amount of space it is taking up in your home? All right, so when we're thinking about this one, then size matters, right? So egg slicer, it's about this big versus Jack LaLanne power juicer, which is about this big. Those both take up a very different amount of space. So they have a different value as far as the square feet that they're taking up in your home. Because when you think about it, in your home, you are paying either the rent or the mortgage each month, right? Oh, getting a delivery. Where you pay the rent or the mortgage each month. So a portion of that rent and mortgage are paid for each area of your home. So literally, you are paying each month for the space that that item is taking up. Now, is it worth the amount that you're paying? So the Jack LaLanne power juicer is I'm paying more per month basically to store that than I am the egg slicer. And it's not adding a lot of value to my life. And I don't feel like it's really something that I would buy again. So it's really going down on the list of these questions and getting, more and more negative reviews as far as keeping it in my life. The egg slicer, it's tiny, so I pay less per month for it, really. It's not taking up a lot of space, and I use it a lot. So yes, it does. It is worth the space that it takes up. So think about, is it worth the space that it takes up in your home? Because it not only takes up the physical space, it takes up mental space too. The power juicer, because it's in the laundry room, that means that the shelf it's on, it's harder for me to reach the things behind it or even see the things behind it. So it's taking up more visual space. And every time I see it, it's just kind of that reminder that it's there. Versus the egg slicer, tiny. I don't mind seeing it because I know that it's useful. So that's the next question. Is it worth the space that it takes up in your home? Uh, Liz says, "Hi. What are we talking about today?" You're gonna have to check out the beginning of the replay when the replay is done, and I tell you all about what we're talking about. But they're basically questions that you can use to declutter your home. So that's a short summary of it. Karen says, "I have a friend whose husband won't part with the encyclopedias from when their children were young. They're all in their 30s and 40s. Maybe these questions will help her or him." That would be awesome. Yes, share it with them. And along the series, because there are 5 parts to this declutter series, we have several categories that we will be talking about. So we will be talking about space and freedom. We'll be talking about time and logic. We'll talk about charity and love. And we'll talk about emotions and moving forward. So those are some of the other categories of questions that we will talk about over these 5 Thursdays. So hopefully they enjoy the series. That's awesome. Karen says, "Glad to be here from cold but sunny Orlando, Florida." Yay. I can't put the phone number and word for the text reminders in the chat box right now. It's not something that I'm able to do while I'm live, but it should be in the description. So when you go to the video description, you can find it there, and I'll put it on the screen again at the end. Liz says, "Mental space." Great reminder. Yes, everything takes up not just physical space, but space in your brain. Jane says, "So much great info as going through again to get my house more organized." Absolutely. That's awesome. All right, so we've got one question left. One more question. So remember, if you're enjoying these, we've got a whole series. This is just the first of 5. So make sure that you subscribe either on Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're watching. Make sure that you subscribe so you get notified of when I'm going to go live. The last question is, could I make money selling it, or could someone else use it more? So when we're looking at our item, remember, the value to us no longer has anything to do with how much we paid for it. The value of what we paid for it, that's out the window. Once you've paid the money, it's gone. Now the only value the item has is its usefulness to you in your life. How much do you love and enjoy it, or how useful is it within your daily life? So how much you paid has nothing to do with it. But when you're thinking about possibly letting something go, it can help to think, okay, well, could I make some money off of this instead of having it sit there? Because the longer it sits there, the less you could potentially make with most things, right? That power juicer that I have, if I were to try to sell it today, I could make some money off of it. I might be able to sell it for $20 to $50. That would be nice. What could I do with that money instead? I mean, there are so many things. I mean, what can't we do with our money, right? There's so many things that I could do. I could save it up. I could enjoy my pedicure. I could do a bunch of things. Or if it's not actually something you could sell, maybe it's something that somebody else would appreciate more than you're appreciating right now. So even if that power juicer were something that I could not sell, There's probably somebody out there that would use it much more often and that would really love to have it that might not be able to pay full price for a new juicer, but that it would add a lot of value to their lives. So donating it. That means that it's not just sitting there getting older on my shelf. So the longer you hold on to most things, collectibles, antiques, things like that, of course, this does not necessarily apply to. Those are a whole different category. But with most things, they do have kind of a shelf life of their usefulness. So as we know, technology, your phone, the phone that you have today is going to be worth so much less 1 year from now. And 5 years from now, it will be worth very, very little. So technology, its value to the world goes down quickly. Something like a decoration, then it can go out of style, out of season. Something such as an egg slicer, that might retain its value longer as long as something new does not come on the market that's inexpensive and does it better. But the longer we keep things and don't use them, the less value they have in the world. So the less money you could possibly get from selling it, or the less useful it could be for somebody else. So the more likely it is to end up in a landfill or that you could sell it for less than you could sell it for today. So think about if you were to sell it right now, you could get some money versus it taking up that physical and mental space. Or if you were to donate it, somebody else could use it right now instead of it taking up that physical and mental space and just aging in your home. So let's recap all of these questions, okay? So just to recap, question number 1, what is the item worth to me today? So whatever you paid for it does not matter. You already paid it. You're not getting your money back by keeping it. What value is it adding to your life? Would you buy it again if you did not have it? If it got stolen, if you lost it, if it broke, would you spend the time and the money to go find it and buy it again? Is it making your life better, either by bringing you true joy when you see it or by providing a very useful service? Is it worth the space that it takes up? You're paying your mortgage or your rent every month, and you're cleaning the space, you're using a lot of energy to maintain your space. Is it worth taking up that space? Is it adding enough value to be worth all the space it's taking up and blocking other things and that mental space? When you look around, it's taking up mental space too. And could I make money selling it, or could somebody else possibly use it more? So it has a shelf life. You could sell it, or if somebody else could use it more right now, then now is a great time to let it go. So tell me in the comments, which of these resonated with you the most? Are there any of these that really stood out that you really enjoyed? And also let me know, what do you think about this series? This is a new series. We just finished our goals and priorities. Now we're talking about some of the decluttering questions. I'd love to hear what you think. I'm going to put that text message number on the screen again really quickly. And the text phrase, if you wanted to be notified by text message of any events that we have going on, then that is the place to do it. You can also find the information in the video description if you're not able to do this right now. Lori says, don't leave it for your kids to deal with. And that is absolutely true. And that's actually one of our things for one of the questions later on in the series too. But yeah, don't leave it for your kids to deal with. They won't appreciate that. So Karita, I have a lot of files. Yes, files and papers, that's a whole other subject. And we're going to be talking about papers and files a little bit more after this series, probably closer to March. So absolutely. Somebody asked, how do you know where the best place is to sell items? I don't think it's still in the store, but I might do it again this year. I had a webinar on how to decide where to sell and donate various items. And that was a good place to find that information. You can check my online store at suzannakaye.com. I'm not sure if it's still up there or not, but it's not a quick and easy answer that I can give you. That's a whole different discussion, but it's a good question. You can Google the specific type of item and say, where's the best place to sell a juicer and it'll give you some ideas, but hopefully that'll help. And you can also ask in the Facebook group. In the Facebook group, if you ask that question, then a lot of people will give you all sorts of great ideas. So post that as a question in the Facebook group, the Home Organizing Challenges group, and that's a good one. You're already in the group watching this video. Margot, oh, a great question from Josh Becker. He's really good. He's one of the minimalists. If I didn't have it, what else might I use instead? And that's so true. If you did not have the egg slicer, what else would work for the job? I used to cut the dog food with a knife. It was not as easy, but it worked. So if it was easier, if we did not have to cut the dog food every day and the knife worked even better, then I would not keep the egg slicer. The egg slicer does do it in a way that is significantly better. But something like the juicer, if I didn't have that, what else might I use instead? I actually would just make a smoothie instead with a blender that I already have and use for a number of things. That's a really good one. I almost called to Charlie. Darlene says, yes, bless someone else and that will give you more satisfaction. It is so nice to think about your items being loved by somebody else who might not have the chance to have something so nice. Absolutely. Maggie says she loves the how much is it worth today. That's a big one, especially on those items that we just think about how much we spent. It has nothing to do with it anymore. Karen loves, is it worth the space it takes up today? This is a great question. Yeah, mental and physical space, right? Someone says, this is helpful. Thank you. You're so welcome. Maggie also loved, how much is it worth to me today? And mental space. Susie loves the space an item takes up. She likes that concept. Kathy says, excellent series. I'm pretty good at getting rid of stuff. I have little emotional attachment to things, but many relatives are not. I'm going to share this with them. That's awesome. Great. Liz says, super helpful for my mindset to declutter all my spaces. Over time, my schedule to own. Love it. Yay. Judy loves the series. Diane, as I look around, very few items would be purchased again today. Great question. Yeah, that's always a tough one. There's so many things that I would not buy again. So that makes it a little bit easier to decide, okay, well, if I wouldn't buy it again, I don't really love it as much as I thought that I did. And it might not be the deciding factor, but it definitely adds to those deciding factors. Darlene, I think this is a great series. Will we be getting tasks to do for this too? I'm a sentimental person, but I have to let it go. Just like Frozen, I love it. We won't have tasks necessarily to do for this series, but next month I will be sharing a resource that I have for daily tasks. And it's going to go hand in hand with this. And next month, we are starting our declutter challenge. So there will be 1 week where we are doing a full declutter challenge each day, a small step. And this is going to go hand in hand with that one as well. So keep an eye on that. Margie says, hi, Suzanne, thanks for the great tips. You're so welcome. Darlene says, some of my holdups is if something's actually truly valuable. I hear Pyrex sets go for thousands of dollars, Beanie Babies, stuff like that. And yeah, the collectibles, those are so hit or miss, and that's a whole different thought process. So these don't necessarily apply to the collectibles, but that's definitely one of those items that you would want to think about differently. And I might even have to do at least one video on special items such as collectibles, heirlooms, things like that, because whole different thought process. Susie says, I find I have many things, clothes that are very similar. Yes, right? Because we find that we've got a style and we absolutely love our style. So we keep getting everything in it, right? So hopefully you really enjoyed this. Next week, we will be talking about space and freedom. So the space of items that they take up and deciding on them based on that, and the freedom that we can get instead. So check out next week, Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern time, same as usual, same place. Make sure to join me for part 2 of the 5-part series on decluttering questions to help you declutter your home. And remember, you do not have to have a huge organizing session in order to ask these questions. These are questions as you walk around your house, pick one of the questions and start asking about everything that you see in your home. So maybe pick the question, is it making your life better today? And then as you walk around your home, whenever you notice an item, think, is that making my life better? Is that making my life better? And the more often you start to ask these questions for yourself, the better your life is going to be because you will start to change the way that you think. One small step at a time. That's the big thing, small steps, right? Jane loved, I liked, is it worth the space it takes up? I never thought of it that way. Yes, you're so welcome, Lori and Paula. Well, I love you so, so, so much. I will see you next week. And if you do have questions about any type of specific items, or if you want to share what you decided to let go of or any aha moments, post them in the Facebook group, in the Home Organizing Challenges with Suzanna Kaye Facebook group. That is an amazing place to ask questions because everybody's so nice. We all answer the questions and give you a million ideas. And we love, love, love to hear of other people's successes or to encourage you if you're struggling. So I will see you over in the Facebook group. Have an absolutely amazing day, beautiful. And I love you. See you soon.